What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Tiny Track Cars. Today we have a 16-car Skyline only tournament right here on this track, and right after this tournament we are going to be changing this track up completely. Let us know who you want to win in the comments once we introduce the cars in a second. Car number 16 is a surprise, and you're gonna have to wait till we get to group number 4 to see who that driver is. All right, let's meet the 16 cars in our Nissan Skyline tournament. We have groups of 4 in this one, and 2 cars move on. First, we have the R34. Next up, we have the Fast and the Furious R32. Then we have this beautiful teal 2000 GTX. And last in this group, we have the Nissan R33 Godzilla. Starting group number 2, we have the 2000 GTR, a gray R32, a red R30 Skyline, and last but not least in this group, a beautiful red R34 Skyline. Group number 3, we have this beautiful R33 in red, and then Godzilla R34 himself in the second spot in that group. Another Godzilla car, the R33. And last but not least, it's Leon's R33 from the Fast and the Furious. Group number 4, we have a purple R30 Skyline. And then, I know it's not a Skyline, the Nissan R35 GTR, but we're sneaking it in there. You can complain in the comments if you want. Then a beautiful red R32, and then who is the last car in this tournament? We shall find out in group number 4. It's a surprise for you, and you'll just have to wait to find out. We're going right into racing with group number 1. We have the white R34 in the pole position. He's down out in front getting pushed by that GTX. Down on the jump they go. Huge air from that GTX. The R34 spins around the GTX side by side. Can he get by? The R34 does a reverse, block and reverse, but the GTX goes around to the left side and takes first place and also takes out a couple people. I had a request in the comments on Facebook, sorry, not on Facebook, on YouTube, that we add the splats and the screaming back into the spectators when they get hit. Is that something that you guys would like? Would you like to hear more sound effects of people getting splatted at the finish line? And we all know it's just fake and all for fun. There's no blood. Oh my gosh, and more people get splatted at the finish line. I think in that one, it just was a couple of Evo, a Datsun 510 wagon, and a mechanic, and some beautiful woman tipped over, but she's still holding her pose. In last place, the R32 tries to come across the finish line, but the GTX blocks him, and that is a big DNF for the Fast and the Furious R32. They rotate one position clockwise again, and that 2000 GTX is still out front, folks. That will be a competitor in this tournament, I can already tell. Whoa, the Godzilla R33 takes advantage of a spin out from the GTX. Down to the finish line he goes. He takes first. R34 takes second. GTX. What is the official name for the car? The Skyline 2000 GTX? Is that what it is? Let me know in the comments. The GTX and the GTR, which are also in this competition, the 2000, are, I'm not sure what they are. I've never heard, before I've started collecting Hot Wheels, I did not know what those cars were. Not really a Skyline guy, but people love Skylines, and here they are. What we missed in that race was a resurrection from the R33 that was on his roof and then spun back around to win this race. Group number 1 is complete, and moving on, we have the R34 and the 2000 GTX. We move them along in the bracket here, and then we introduce group number 2 right at the start line. We have the 2000 GTR right there out in front. It's almost as fast as that GTX, but that R30 right on his tail. Can the R30 catch him as they go over the jump? The GTR, 2000 GTR, I have to start saying that because they're all GTRs-ish, right? 2000 GTR first, R30 second, R32 and R34 third and fourth. Again, they rotate one position clockwise, and they're out of there again. The R30 is fighting for that victory, fighting for that first place, and he overtakes the 2000 GT. I'm going to love it if these cars get eliminated because I don't have to say 2000 GTR and 2002 GT anymore. It's just that to boot the beat about a boo. We're leaving that in there. Rolling with it, R34 in last place. Come on, R34, get your stuff together before you're eliminated. R30 out front again. The R30 is proven to be a fast one. We did not expect any R30s to be fast on this track. We know the R32s and the R33s are fast, but generally speaking, the R30s and the R34s aren't that fast on this track. But they're proving us wrong here in the Skyline tournament. That 2000 DTR decides to park it on the side of the freeway and gets 0 points for that race. They rotate one position again and they're out of there. This time the gray R32 has its chance at pole position, and he gets passed on the outside after a rough landing on the turn. I want to tell you folks, I went through my phases. I didn't like Skylines at first, and then I really started to like them as I collected Hot Wheels, and everybody's on the R34 bandwagon, and that's cool. R34s are great. I personally started liking the R33s, but now the more I started collecting and the more I get into Skylines, I feel like the Skyline that I would buy over all of them is a beautiful, clean R32. What's your favorite Skyline? Let me know in the comments if it's R32, R33, R34, or what it might be. Here's group number 3. We have the Godzilla R34 out front. He's got a wide body kit on this and a front lip that is pretty low. Will he be able to come out in front, or will he be scraping his junk? I said it. Will he be scraping his junk all down the track? The Godzilla R34 takes first place with his junk and all. All right, we have an R33 in the front left, an R33 in the front right, and an R33 behind that. I think there's going to be an R33 that moves on. I'm not really good at math, but there's definitely an R33 that moves on in this group. Which one's it going to be, or maybe it's 2 of them. The Godzilla, I love this color in this car. This matte gray, almost with a gray and gold color scheme. R33 takes first. Leon, I'm not sure if Leon's actually driving that, but he just does guest appearances and photo shoots and signatures. I don't know if he's actually street racing anymore. But I'm not sure who's driving Leon's car, but he needs to get his act together. Down to the jump he goes. Leon, or whoever's driving, is first, but he gets pushed by the R34 over the jump. Godzilla coming down the straightaway. Will he take first place? He spins around sideways, but he takes it. And holy cannoli, we don't even know who takes second. It's too close to call. We'll slow it down for you. It looks like Leon is getting blocked, and the R34, the judges say, take second place. And I'm the judge, by the way. I slowed the footage down and watched it in slow motion from both angles, and that R34 passed the yellow R33 at the last moment there. We go into the next race. R34 down over the jump first. Yellow R33, gray R33, red R33. If you guys can tell me at the end of this video, how many times did I say R? The letter R. If you can count how many times you say R and drop it in the comments at the end of this video. And I'm not sure if I'm gonna actually count myself, but let me know if people actually do it. I'll add them up myself, and then I might mail you a car for free. I'll reach out to you and mail you a car for free. All right, R34 and R33 move on. Folks, it's time for the big reveal. It is Brian O'Connor in the R34 Skyline from the Fast and Furious. I just messed up my R's because I wanted to say R way more times, so you guys have to count them. Whoa, that red R32 does a trick maneuver. The R35 tries to get underneath him. Not a Skyline, we know. The taillights are the same, the letters are the same, but we all know what it is in disguise. But the true true Skyline fanatics say it's not a Skyline. I'll take it. It's not a Skyline. It's an R30. Sorry, it's a G30. R35. It's not a G35. It's not an Infinity. This is not an Infinity. Even though Nissan and Infinity, same difference, right? Kind of. All right, we missed some races there, but that's okay. You guys were watching. You guys were following along. You guys were rooting for your favorite car. Is your favorite car still in it? Let us know in the comments who you voted for and if that car is winning it. Huge air by the R32 and passes Brian in the R34. Brian in the R34 spins out because I'm not sure what was happening. And then we also lost our finish line cam and all that, folks. We had to follow the lead cars across the finish line with our chase cam. We had a 2-car DNF in that one. Only the R32 and the R34 finished. Unfortunately, their 2 did not. It's a battle between Brian and the R34 and this beautiful R32, who I think is probably one of the fastest cars on this track. Look out for that R32 Skyline right there. R35 takes third, and the purple purpley R30 takes last. The two cars moving on are the red R32 and the R35. I keep saying G35. Not sure why. Brian unfortunately goes home. The secret reveal is revealed and he goes nowhere. Fast and the Furious fans are let down yet again. Maybe we can release a couple more movies in the saga and then they'll be happy again. Into the next round we go. We have the GTX and the GTR, 2000 GTX and GTR battling against each other, and down over the finish line they go. And the GTX and GTR take first, second, followed by the R33 and the R30. This time we have the GTX out front, 2000 GTX. Over the jump he goes. He flips over. Can anyone get by him? He gets pushed down the track. Will he be able to cross the finish line on his roof? We'll find out right now. Either way, he's going to have a lot of scratches on that roof, and he's going to need... that's not going to buff out. You're going to have to get that shit repainted. Oh, beep! Add a beep in there, editor. That's me. I'm not going to add a beep in there. We're going to leave it, because this is actually intended for adult audiences, not for children. This is adult diecasting. Adult diecasting. We have fun, and that's all there is to it. Sometimes stuff slips, and it just happens, and we'll leave it in there. The R30 is down across the finish line for first place, and then a close battle for second between the R33 and one of those lime green, one of those beautiful teal green aqua color cars. I really need to put some numbers in these things so I can determine the GTX from the GTR. Whoa, the GTX does a cool little board slide, 50-50 grind, and makes a pass in R33. Down to the finish line he goes. He gets first, R33 second, R30 third, and GTR, 2000 GTR. What is the name of that car? 2000 GTR gets last place. The two moving on are, whoa, we have a tie, folks, between the GTX and the GTR. Because the GTX got more first place finishes, they take the pole position. Will they be able to hold the pole position and move on? Will one of the 2000s get eliminated? Yeah, we know one of them does get eliminated. Both of them can't move on. Almost a power slide in that last turn, and curse splat. Whoa! Ben Flatten's identical twin brother gets taken out at the finish line. Are we gonna have to have a funeral for that man? I'm not really sure. All right, we have the R33 Godzilla Skyline moving on, and the 2000 GTX moving on. What two drivers will join those two in the finals? We find out right now. We have an R34, an R33, an R32, and an R35, not a Skyline. R32 rolls over. No! I hate to see that happen. I'm really rooting for that R32 because you know, I said it, I love the R32s. And I would buy one. When I get 1 million subscribers on YouTube, I will buy an R32. I was blabbing, we missed the R34, pushing the R35 off the track, but luckily he does get across the finish line and get some points. And let's face it, he's gonna need them. The R35 over the jump first, R32 practically landing in his trunk but then spinning out. Is the other two able to get by him? It looks like they are. I see a red car in last place, the R35 down across the finish line first, and it looks like the R32 was able to get by the R33 down the last straightaway and takes third place. They rotate positions again, and the R32 is fast. Can he land it? He goes up on the curb, rolls it over. No! Another DNF unless he gets pushed all the way down the track by the other three cars. I'm hoping, I'm praying that it does that. No, he gets hit by the R35. And look at that. The R34 comes from fourth place and goes all the way to first place. Goes around the wreckage and then passes the R33 and takes first place. That's probably the fourth to first pass we've ever seen on this track, folks. R32 showing he is the fastest on this track, but unfortunately he is inconsistent, and those three DNFs do not finish. Three, I think two, will hurt his score, and I believe because of those, he won't be moving on. Moving on, we have the R34 and the R33 Godzilla joining the R33 and the 2000 GTX in the finals. Who's going to win the finals? 4 go in, 1 comes out. Who is going to win after 4 quick and easy races? We have the GTX in the pole position. He is out front early down on the jump. We know that car's fast. Is he going to be the champion of this Hot Wheels? Wait, Hot Wheels didn't sponsor this. This die-cast Skyline Racing Tournament. No Hot Wheels involved, but even though these are all mostly Hot Wheels. Whoa! What kind of move is that? The GTX decides he did not want to be in that lane. He wanted to be in the outside lane, which we know is a teeny bit faster, titty bit. And he goes first over the jump. Can he hold out the first place spot after doing that crazy barrel roll, changing lanes? I think that move will go down in history for one of the coolest moves we've seen here at this track. And unfortunately, after this tournament, we tore this track down, and we will have a new track set up for you soon, which will be rolling out in sections. One temporary track while we're waiting on a couple pieces, and then one final track once we get everything together. So you're going to see a couple track iterations here over the next few weeks of Tiny Track Cars. Godzilla R33 takes first, R34 second, other R33 takes third, and the 2000 GTX comes in last place. Who's keeping track of score on a notepad? Who's keeping track of score in their head? The R33 down over the jump first, the GTX right on his tail. Can the GTX get by? He's going to need these points. Bumping into the R33, but the R33 takes the win, and the GTX spins out, and the GTX just gives up another point. What does that mean for the points? Since the R33 passed the GTX to the finish line, he loses by 1 point, folks. He needed that point to tie for first place and go into a tiebreaker, but he blows it at the finish line, and the Godzilla R33 takes the 16 car Nissan Skyline. Whoa, and he pulls a fancy maneuver as well, doing a 50-50 grind, spinning around and taking a move right out of the GTX's book. Now he's going to finish this victory lap in reverse, folks. The Godzilla R33 in white takes the win of the Nissan Skyline Tournament. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you in the next one.